What's going on, Growlers Nation? Welcome back to another edition of the Doghouse. Once again, we are live from the Leon's living room, and we've got Casey, we've got Brady, and we've got another special guest here today. Dryden McKay of your Newfoundland Growlers joins us here this morning. Dryden, I know it's a busy time. You guys fly out in like 2 hours, so thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy day.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Let's summarize the last maybe couple of weeks for the Growlers, because it feels like it's been exactly that long since we've seen you guys on the ice. A weird, 12-day break in the middle of the season. How did that go for you?
It went well. I think with how many 3-and-3s we play, especially for our team, it was big to get a break physically, but also mentally. Those 3-game weekends are intense, especially this time of year, and it was definitely nice to kind of get away for a few days, and especially with St. Patrick's Day and St. John's, it was really cool to see the city like that. And yeah, just some quality bonding with the guys and some much needed rest.
No kidding. How do you find the balance too between getting your rest in, because a lot of 3-and-3s makes for a tired hockey club, but at the same time, only 12 games left, all division games, certainly not a time to take your foot off the gas. How were practices balancing with the rest as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think we skated Thursday, had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and then got back on the ice Monday afternoon. So it was good to have those 3 days off and kind of rest, but then also get right back Monday. And now we've had 3 days to get back into it, and the rush should be off, and we should be rested and ready to go into Maine.
Yeah, I mean, no rest for the Wicked here. Jumping ready to do another 3-and-3. This would be, as the standings go right now, the 3 and the 4 spot. Pretty big opportunity for you guys to build a little bit of separation. You must be excited to play some pretty important games here.
Yeah, this time of the season's always the best. It's kind of what you work for the whole year, and like you said, they're right behind us in the standings, so they should be good, intense games, fighting for playoff positioning.
How much scoreboard watching have you done over the last couple of weeks?
Personally, not a ton.
No?
I try to stay away from that, but I'm sure some guys have. And after the weekend, I obviously checked in to see where we were at. But with all those games we had in hand, it was kind of weird, and we couldn't really look at it until all the teams caught up. It was hard to really know where we were at. But now that we're kind of all around the same area with games remaining, it's easier to know where we stand.
Yeah, because, I mean, you go in now, all 4-point games, all division games between here to the end of the year. You can't afford to lose 2 or 3 in a row. Like, what's the vibe in the room, I guess, heading out onto this trip? I mean, like, these have to be seen as pretty big games.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely big games, but I think, I think guys that have played in big games in the past know that you can't look too far into it, and you can't look into the Sunday game before the Friday game. And all that matters right now is getting there and taking care of ourselves and having a good practice tomorrow and a good morning skate Friday, and then come out ready to go for the game Friday night.
Obviously, in your second year now, and had a great rookie season here with us last year. What is something you learned in your rookie season last year that you kind of brought with you in your second year pro here?
I think just coming from college, it's a lot more games. So I think just being able to manage the highs and the lows, because there are going to be highs and lows, and especially in this league with our travel and the 3-and-3s, it's a lot. So I think just being able to kind of stay in the moment, don't get too high, don't get too low, and just kind of enjoy every day and just keep trying to improve.
My question's about Patty's Day. What'd you get up to?
Well, we definitely checked it out downtown.
Sure.
We had to. It was a good time. So, but other than that, not a ton. I'm trying to remember. We have a dog, so a lot of time at the park, a lot of extra hours with him. So I'm sure he appreciated that.
What was your experience like getting to witness Patty's Day in arguably the Irish capital of Canada?
It was awesome. A lot of green. It was a beautiful weekend too, which definitely helped.
Good point.
Yeah, really good weather. So it wasn't hard to get out of the house and go check it out.
Don't
No
get used
kidding.
to that. I'm curious a little bit about the dynamic between you and Pexa, or you and Pexa and Kavlin, when we're lucky enough to have all 3 of you guys here. Just really good problem to have 3 good goaltenders. But I guess finding that balance between being competitive with one another but also being supportive of one another, like, how have you found that dynamic this year with 3 guys who can really bring their A game at any given time?
Yeah, it's definitely been different. You could be playing one night and then up in the stands the next, so that was definitely a bit of an adjustment. But they're both great guys, so that's been easy, especially last year. Me and Cav were here pretty much the whole year, so we had a really good friendship going, and happy to see him doing well with the Marlies. And Pex is just a young guy, kind of still finding his way, so just trying to be supportive of him and try to help him understand what I went through last year and similar experiences and kind of help him find his way, but also, like you said, push for the net and want to be the guy that's in the net. But if you're not in the net, I'm definitely cheering for those two guys.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Brady, and I know we Dryden talked about this in our interview for the magazine a little while ago, but talk about the role of our goaltending coach, Merrick Benda, in kind of keeping you all in check and keeping you in the right direction, because I don't think anyone who's met him is going to say that he hasn't had a positive influence on maybe literally everyone he's ever met.
Yeah, I think especially for those weeks where we had 3 goalies, he did a really good job of making sure that, I mean, it was kind of a different situation every time, but making sure that we were getting what we needed out of it, whether you were playing or you weren't playing, or like just making sure that you were doing what was going to be best for each of our situations, if that makes sense. And yeah, without him, I think it would have been a lot more complicated, but he kind of helped us stay in the moment and just keep us prepared and ready to go whenever it was our turn to get in the net.
He's like a Ted Lasso of goalie coaches, Merrick. For people who don't know him, he's just such a happy guy.
Yeah.
It must be interesting for you. I mean, you're on this team last year. I feel like at this point last year we were clinched. Obviously, that's the goal again this year. But in some ways, it's got to be a little bit more fun and maybe more optimal that you're playing important games going into, what would hopefully be a long playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw last year, like you said, we clinched early, and then that first game against Adirondack, it was like we kind of got punched in the nose, like, oh, here we go. So I think for us this year, if we can, find our game down the stretch, all that really matters is how you're playing going into playoffs, not how you play in, December. So I think for us, it's just about finding our game at the right time and playing the right way going into playoffs, whether we're the 3, 4, 2, 1, doesn't really matter at that time of year. So, yeah, it's going to be a good experience, especially for the young guys this year.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of that, like, this team this year looks completely different than what it did last year. Like, what's the biggest difference you found, like, between this year's team and last year's team?
I mean, I think probably experience. It seems like we have a lot of younger guys and guys that don't have a ton of experience, whereas last year we were pretty heavy experience-wise. And but I think with that, I think guys have a little bit more excitement because they don't know what's going to come in the playoffs, and we also have really good leadership to kind of help guys along. So, yeah, it's definitely a different team than last year, and different ways, better in some areas, not in other areas. So every year is a new team.
So how do we feel about how the team is playing? I know it feels like a while ago since we've played, but heading into this road trip, a bit of an up and down maybe homestand. Kalamazoo, a couple of up and down games there, but it really looked like you guys maybe caught your stride a bit more against Idaho. How do you summarize the last 6 here at the Mary Brown Center?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it was up and down as far as wins and losses, but I thought all 3 games against Idaho, we played well with Friday night, or what was the first game? Saturday night?
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Saturday night, that was probably one of our best games of the season, top to bottom. And then, yeah, I think even that Sunday game, coming back from down 3 against a team like that in the third period shows a lot about, what we can do. And
Hell yeah.
I think for us, it's about, finding that consistency and making sure our bad isn't bad and our good, is great. So I think just finding that consistency is going to be huge for us these last 12 games.
I like that. How did you weather the storm? I mean, that's a doozy. That had to have been the biggest one since you've been a Growler, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like last year we got a couple, but they were gone pretty quick. Whereas
Not
this year,
this
it seems like
one.
the snow is just sticking around. So, no, it was cool, I guess. Like, I've never seen that much snow at once. So, a little bit scary, but
Definitely.
yeah, but it was different. It was good.
Did you have to do any shoveling or anything yourself?
I did. They actually do a good job where we live. They plow the street, but we just have like a little walkway. But still, when you're plowing 3 feet of snow, it's not easy.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I guess for yourself personally, we talked about the team and, with a young group, the inconsistencies, if you will. It makes sense to a degree. There's lessons to be learned, and it's such a long season. It's long for us in the office. I can only imagine what it's like for you guys. But for you personally, like, I feel like from my vantage point, you've been as comfortable as you've ever been with the Growlers. Just maybe some bounces haven't gone your way. A lot of overtimes for yourself, which is kind of always a coin toss. How happy are you with your own play of late?
Yeah, definitely. Since the injury, I've felt a lot more comfortable in the net. I feel more like myself. That's been the biggest thing. I feel like I can move the way I want to move, and yeah, I can't seem to win an overtime game, like you said. Just can't find it. But hopefully that's going to change here soon. And all I can do is just keep playing the same way, and with the team in front of me, just give them a chance every night.
One thing that interests me is, like, how different goalies have different like game day routines. Like, what's your game day routine? Like, what do you do to get prepared for a start?
Honestly, nothing crazy. I definitely played with guys that are a lot more intense. You can't talk to them, but I try to keep it pretty loose. I find I play my best when I'm just having fun, but focused at the same time. But also, like, when I come to the bench for, intermissions or TV timeouts, I'm talking to the guys, and it's not like I'm so focused that guys can't talk to me. I try to keep it pretty loose, but I also, at this point in my career, kind of know what I need to do leading up to it physically and mentally. And finding that routine is really key, especially in pro hockey with the amount of games, and find that routine that makes you, play consistently.
No, it's an interesting development in sports psychology where they're telling people maybe to steer away from that, too intense stuff. Because if anything changes, like it can really throw your game off. But on the topic of finding that, I guess finding your feet, finding that comfortability, you got a couple new guys coming in from the college ranks, maybe a road trip. I know last year Johnny Tyconic spoke about just how important it was for him to, you guys were on the beach in Florida. I'm sure that doesn't hurt, but
Yeah.
for Johnny to gel with the group, and he certainly hit the ground running. I'm sure that'll be important for some of these new guys as well.
Yeah, I think we need them, especially you never know what the Marlies are going to do with some of the guys. So kind of have a different team every day, but hopefully these two can get comfortable right away. And I think winning a big game like this or a big road trip like this is definitely will get them into it right away.
And you yourself, during the most recent homestand, picked up your first assist of the year, leading the Growler goalies in points this year. I say all that in jest. It's all true. But is that something I have noticed? You almost look like a more confident as we get some tunes rocking here. Do you find, have you worked on your puck handling at all? Because you've already nodded, because you seem more confident than you were a year ago.
Yeah, I think it was funny going into this weekend against Idaho. There was 2 days in a row where Merrick brought us out early and we just worked on puck handling, and then sure enough, I get an assist. Or was that the Kalamazoo series that I got the assist? Yeah, it was the Kalamazoo. But yeah, anyways, we've been working on it a lot, and I get it to the players and they do their thing. And if I'm lucky enough to be one of the last two guys to touch it, then I'll take it. But yeah, I think being able to play the puck is a huge advantage for any goalie and helps your team get out of your zone a lot faster.
Just 6 road games left. This is the final road trip of the season. This is kind of a silly question. Do you find that as hard to believe as I do? Because it feels like this year compared to last just disappeared.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we had less road trips this year, but we did have that one that was like 20-something days. So that was like 2 road trips in one. But yeah, it's crazy. This is our last long road trip, and then the ones in the playoffs are usually only like a couple days to a week. So yeah, it's crazy how fast it's going.
Anything in particular that the team is kind of trying to lock in on as you head into these final 12 games? Is it discipline? Is it penalty kill? Is there any one particular thing that you're trying to bonk over each other's heads at this stage of the year?
I think probably just our D-zone structure. I think, the faster we can get out of our zone with the skill that we have, especially up front, to get into their hands and their zone, good things are going to happen. So the quicker we can get out of our zone, the better we're going to be.
I love that. Anything else to tee up for Dryden before we say goodbye to another edition of the Doghouse?
One question that kind of interests me is like when Kavlin's down, you guys are kind of like rocking a 3-goalie rotation, which a lot of rosters have kind of developed this 3-goalie rotation. Like, what's it like as a goaltender playing in a 3-man rotation?
It's different. It's definitely been something to get used to, but I think more than anything, it's about, focusing on what you need to do personally and not focusing on the other 2 guys and not getting caught up in how their games go versus your games, because I find when you get into that comparison, you drive yourself crazy. So just focusing on what you can do and being as prepared as possible when it's your turn to go in there and hopefully get a win for the team.
I was thinking that too. Like, it must be kind of frustrating. You pitch, for example, your first shutout of the year. You're probably hungry to get right back in the net, and then you might not see it till next week. Like that kind of stinks.
Yeah, it's life as a goalie these days. So, yeah, you take it one game at a time, and getting frustrated about it isn't going to help anything. So it's only going to make it worse.
I think that might wrap us up here on another edition of the Doghouse. Casey, what's coming down the pipe when the lads come back from this road trip?
April 5th to the 7th, we have Nurses Night, we have Trades NL Night, Organ Donor Night. So make sure to come on down, support those causes as well. For the last weekend of the year, we have Fan Appreciation Night, which should be good. We got a lot of great prizes for the fans that come down. So That'll be a fun one as well. We also have Teachers Night, and we have we have a Next Gen and Mary Brown's night, kind of combo night. So is Next Gen is we're gonna have like people up with you commentating the game and up in the PA, and just a bunch of kids down kind of helping us out there. And other than that, we got new merch on sale, new hats. We got jerseys, India jerseys, which pretty sick. If you don't have one, make sure to get one of those. There's some left. Yeah.
And I'm going to start working on that India game-worn auction as well. Do you like those jerseys?
Yeah, those are awesome.
Have you tried the beer?
I have tried the beer.
What do you think?
Very good.
Very good. Too. Not even an ad, just actually the truth. Go ahead, Casey.
And also, as you can see, we're in the Leon's living room. If you want to rent it out with a group of your buddies, make sure to email tickets@nlgrowlers.com. They'll sort you out there as well. And we also have season ticket renewals for next year on sale. Early bird pricing ends March 31st. So I believe right now it's like $13.50 a game if you renew. So yeah, I think something like that. So
What a deal.
we're going to renew your tickets. Make sure to go on to the Mary Brown Center website and again renew your tickets.
That's KC, that's Brady, that's Dryden, I'm Chris. This has been the Doghouse. We'll see you next time.